A firewall is supposed to be the thing keeping attackers out of your network. This week, a critical bug in Palo Alto's PAN-OS turned that promise inside out. Unauthenticated, no credentials, no user interaction, root on the box. Today we're going to walk through why this bug got a CVSS of 9.3, what the actual attack surface is, and what every CISO should be doing right now. Not just to patch this one, but to stop the next one. The bug is CVE 2026-0300. It's a buffer overflow in the user ID authentication portal. The thing most people in the field still call the captive portal. That's the web-facing component PAN-OS uses to identify users before letting traffic through. According to Palo Alto's own advisory, an unauthenticated attacker can send a crafted packet to that portal, overflow a buffer, and execute arbitrary code as root. The classification is CWE 787, out of bounds write, classic memory corruption, old genre, new victim. The advisory confirms limited exploitation in the wild. Patches don't ship until May 13th. Until then, the fix is configuration, restrict the portal to trusted zones, or turn it off if you don't need it. So why 9.3 and not say a 7 or an 8? Let's actually walk the CVSS dimensions for a second, because the number itself tells you the shape of the problem. Attack vector network, you don't need to be on the LAN. If the portal is exposed, anyone on the internet can reach it. Attack complexity low, no special conditions. Send the packet, get the shell. Privileges required, none. Unauthenticated. User interaction, none. No phishing, no clicking, no waiting for someone to log in. Scope, changed. The compromise of the firewall affects everything behind it. Impact, high on confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So because you get root, and root on a perimeter firewall is God mode. You can read the config, MITM, the VPN tunnels, pivot into the trusted network, and modify the rules to hide your tracks. Pull the score apart, and 9.3 is exactly what you'd expect. The only reason it isn't a 10 is that the portal has to be reachable from an untrusted network for the worst case version to land. If you've already locked it to internal IPs, the score drops to 8.7, still bad, just less catastrophic. Now let's pin down the exploit vector, because there's a really important nuance here. This is unauthenticated access to a web-based authentication service. That service is by design internet-facing in many deployments. That's the whole point of a captive portal. It greets users from networks the firewall doesn't already trust, which means there's a real legitimate reason this port is open, and that's exactly what makes it dangerous. The split that matters here is management plane versus data plane. PAN-OS separates these deliberately. The management interface, where you SSH in, run CLI commands, push policy, is supposed to be air-gapped from the internet, out of band, reachable only from a jump host or dedicated management network. The data plane is where traffic flows, and the captive portal lives on the data plane because it has to talk to users. So this isn't a management port exposure. This is a data plane service with a memory corruption bug. That distinction matters when you're writing your incident response runbook. Palo Alto issued the advisory on May 5th. The patch window is May 13th. That's 8 days of exposure for anyone who hasn't already applied the workaround. In that window, the recommended mitigations are restrict the captive portal to trusted source IPs, disable the portal entirely if your environment doesn't use it, and make sure your management interface is already off the internet, because if it isn't, you have bigger problems than this CVE. Now let's zoom out, because the real question isn't just did you patch this one? The real question is, say, what does your firewall attack surface actually look like? At Gula Tech Adventures, we've seen portfolio companies across every stage of growth make the same mistake. They treat the firewall as a black box. They trust the vendor, they trust the config, and they don't continuously monitor what's actually exposed. The answer is continuous exposure management. You need to know what's listening, what's reachable, and what's vulnerable before the attacker does. Tools like Tenable, Gravwell, and others in the ecosystem exist precisely for this. Scan your perimeter, know your attack surface. Don't wait for a CVE advisory to find out you had a portal exposed to the internet. And if you're running PAN-OS right now, check your captive portal config today, not tomorrow, today. Is it enabled? Is it reachable from untrusted networks? If the answer to both is yes, you have work to do before May 13th. The broader lesson here is one we keep relearning. Perimeter devices are high-value targets precisely because they sit between the attacker and everything else. A bug in your firewall isn't just a firewall problem. It's a network problem, an identity problem, a data problem, because everything flows through it. Treat your security infrastructure like it has a CVE waiting to be discovered, because it does. Patch fast, monitor continuously, and shrink that attack surface every single day. CVE 2026-0300 is a reminder that the tools we trust to protect us can become the vector. Stay sharp, stay patched, and know your exposure. Thanks so much for watching. If this was useful, please hit subscribe and share it with your security team. And remember, patch your firewalls, not someday, today. Thanks again for watching and subscribing. It really means the world. Stay safe out there.